Hello quilters, I'm Stacy. Welcome to my Block of the Week series, Patching the Hole in the Barn Door. This 12 block series is almost halfway done. As a matter of fact, this is block number 6. Each block has a poem, and this week's poem goes like this. Well, we'd better be getting down to work. Auntie Grace let out a laugh. Just then they both looked up to see Mr. Farmer walking the drunkard's path. That's right. This week's block, the drunkard's path. Now, don't be afraid of the curves. I'm going to make it easy for you, as easy as I can. These days, there are templates, rotary cutting templates that can help with the cutting out of the various pieces. However, if you subscribe to my newsletter and you have received the instructions, you will also have received a template page where you can cut out the templates. I printed mine onto cardstock and then cut it out. And I'm going to show you how you can cut squares with a rotary cutter and then just use the templates to trace the curvy part and then cut that out with scissors. It's not so bad, I promise you. There's only 4 of them. It's all good. All right, let's get sewing. The fabric I've chosen for this week's block is pink and the purple with the blue grid here. So I'll be using those 2 for the center of the block, and then I am using the bright green for the frame. So I'll set that aside for later. Let's talk about this week's block, the drunkard's path. So if you've signed up for my email list, and it's not too late, you will get the template for making the drunkard's path. Now, of course, you also get the full instructions on different ways you can lay it out and the poem and all that jazz. But you will also get the sheet that has the templates on it. Now, when I originally designed this 20 some years ago, rotary cutting was still newer-ish. And at that time, templates were just coming out for things like the drunkard's path. So there are templates available. We did use the Marty Mitchell templates in making this block in my shop way back in 2001. But I have no idea where mine are. So several moves of different parts of my house, who knows? I may not even still have them. So I'm going to show you the old-fashioned way, but I'm going to try to incorporate some rotary cutting in there to make it a little bit easier and less old-fashioned. So way back in the day, many, more than 20 years ago, you used to cut out cardboard templates. So I actually printed this out on a piece of cardstock. It's a lightweight cardstock. It just has a little bit more body than paper, but you could certainly do this with paper as well. So one of the things that you want to check is that it printed out full scale. So I'm just going to grab a ruler and double check that indeed, yes, my 1-inch square is actually 1 inch. So that is perfect. If you are using rotary cutting templates for your drunkard's path, you want the size templates that are going to yield a 3-inch finished square. And you'll make 4 of those. So that's what you have to keep in mind. Now, for us that have to use the old-fashioned method, we can make things a little bit easier by cutting a 2.5-inch strip for the pieces that are going to be the pie shape, and a 3.5-inch strip for pieces that are going to be the L shape. So I'm going to be making my pies pink and my L's, hopefully, hopefully I have enough with that. Or I might be changing my mind. Oh, no, I have more of this fabric. We're good. We're good. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting 3.5-inch squares, and I need a total of 4 of them. That is out of Fabric-A. Save my last bit for a future project or future block. All right, so I have my 4 3.5-inch squares, and then this I'm going to cut out a 2.5-inch strip. And I can go ahead and cut these into squares as well. All right, now we have the bare bones of what we need. It is time to cut out our templates. Make sure you don't use your good fabric scissors. That goes without saying. I do have a rotary cutter I use just for paper. That'll make these straight parts even easier. All right, there's our pie piece. There we go. That's a hint. If you have an old rotary cutter, just mark it so that you know that it's the one for paper. I know that the one with the little blue tape on the back is my paper one. And old blades still cut paper really well. All right, now I have my 2 pieces. And as far as marking the pieces, I'm going to do it on the back of the pieces. It doesn't really matter as long as you do them all the same. So I'm just lining up the 2 edges here. Okay, I'm going to mark all of the little squares, and then I will mark the big squares. Now, if you have the templates, you can just use them to cut instead of tracing on from a cardboard template, but I don't. And you may not either, so. All right, here we're just lining up, again, the straight edges. This I can actually put against all 4 sides, and then I am just going to mark out the curve. Back before rotary cutting, everything was a cardboard template. Even simple 2.5-inch squares. Cut them from cardboard. I didn't do a whole lot of quilting back then. When I started quilting, the rotary cutter had been out. But there wasn't as much or as many rulers and templates and all sorts of things. Like basically, at the time I started, you could get a ruler and a cutting mat and a cutter, and that was mostly it. All right. Now that I have all of them marked, oops, not with my paper scissor, but with my good fabric scissors, I'm going to go ahead and cut along the line. And of course, I'm going to repeat that for all the L shapes and also for the little pie pieces. A little hint for cutting: if you move your fabric as you're closing your scissors, it's a lot easier to cut on a curve that way. All right, the hard part's over, sort of. Now we're going to go ahead and sew our little L to our little pie. And this is the process that you need to follow. You're going to start by creasing just a slight crease by folding your pie in half that way, and then also folding the L along its line of symmetry. Careful as you crease, because that will be on the bias. All right, we are going to match up these sides. So we're going to make sure we have our fold. We've lined that up. Got my fold there and I fold on the other side. It's easier to line them up, I think, on this side, making sure I've got everything good. Then carefully flipping it over, I'm going to go ahead and pin in the center. Now I'm going to kind of scrunch the L and match it up here with the top of the curve and the straight sides going together. So there's my little point of my template, and I've got those sides lined up. I'm going to pin there. I'm going to come to the other side and do the same thing. So you want to make sure that you are aligning the curved edge are both there, but you're aligning the straight edges there, but you're not aligning to the part that has a little point there. Pin. And then, see, things are lining up pretty nicely. It's a little easier sometimes to see it on this side, but you do want to pin on the L side because we're going to be sewing from that side. Put a pin there. Yeah. Let me move that up just a smidge. It kind of shifted on me. Make sure you're pinning closer to the curved edge and not so much out here. There we go. And pin there. All right. I'm going to be doing that with all the others. And you can see that your L shape really has to scrunch around to make its way. And I'm going to sew with that pie side down. And of course, it goes without saying, right sides are together. So I'm going to go sew those. I've brought you over to the machine just to show you that it's really not as intimidating as it may seem at first. I did move that first pin a little closer in so that I would be able to rest my foot. I wouldn't have to worry about the pin quite yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a few stitches, go slow. As I approach that pin, I can pull it out. You fear that there's some fabric bunching up, just sort of reposition it a little bit. It really shouldn't, you shouldn't be sewing in any tucks. It should all just smoothly go. So here, this last bit, I'm going to maneuver a little bit, push that over. A stiletto helps. And there we go. We have a curve. I may have a tiny little tuck in there, but you know what? No big deal. See? It really wasn't that bad. Your seam will naturally want to come towards the pie, so that will work. Once I get all of them sewn, then I'm going to press them. Once I press them, then I'll take the blocks back over to the cutting table and we'll talk about how you can arrange them. I'm back real quick with a pinning tip before I finish up, and that is for the first and the last pin, the pins that are on the edge. I have put my needle or my pin through twice, making two little dips into the fabric, and that is helping to keep those edge pieces from wanting to twist, which I found I was futzing a whole lot with it. Still a little futzy, but less so if you take, you know, two little tips into the fabric. All right, back to sewing. All right, I'm back with all 4 of my little blocks or little squares sewn, and now we can arrange them. So traditionally, they go something like this. Actually, I believe it's like that. But if you turn this one around, then you have kind of like a little bird, which I like, and that's probably how I'm going to do mine. But you can also make a circle, You could turn them all outward so that the little pies are in the corner and you have this sort of curvy garden path, especially with my little cobblestone looking squares there. So just decide how you want to put them together. I'm going to go for the little bird here, and I'll sew those two together and these two together. And then of course I'll sew the square together. And while I'm doing that, I'm also going to put together my frame. So if this is the first time that you have come across this series, then know that each block has a frame around it. So the 6-inch center is what we make each week. And then this is last week's block. It gets put into the barn door block, hole in the barn door, which we're patching with our little blocks. So going to work on those while I sew these together. All right, here we are with the finished inner part of the block. I would never be able to do that if I was trying to do it on purpose. Look how that seam just matched right up. This one, not so much, but that's okay. But kind of cool. Anyhow, time to square up my block. I am going to use my bias, even though this doesn't have a bias angle on it. I'm going to line up my 3 1/4. Kind of split the difference there. Goes a little off there and a little off there, making sure that I'm at least at 6 1/2. Yes. Everywhere else. Oh, how great is that? Flip my ruler around. I just will go ahead and take off those pieces so I can more clearly see things lining up at the 6 1/2 and the 6 1/2 over here. Again, my 3 1/4 is in the center. And there we go. So now I'm just going to get the frame pieces, sew them all together to complete the block. Thanks for joining me for this week's Block of the Week. If you would like instructions emailed to you each week of the current block, and don't worry, it will catch you right up for any of the ones that you've already missed. And then you'll be on the list for the future blocks coming out from this series. See the description below for the link to sign up for my newsletter. I hope you all have a great week, and I will be back next week with block number 7. That's right, we're already halfway done. I'm really excited and can't wait for the next one. Until next week, this is Stacy. Bye.